Joseph Smith began teaching you something in particular. Would you please detail us what that was?
Yes, he was starting to, I was 18 at the time, and he wanted to speak with me. In fact, he came to me and said, if you will not betray me, I will tell you something for your benefit. And days passed, and that provided no opportunity for him to actually speak with me. And but I was getting signals, and soon I was approached with a letter that I was told to burn immediately after reading. But after private prayer, decided that it was probably not a good thing to accept what I thought to be a romantic letter from not only my host, but my employer, my father figure, and our spiritual leader. So I declined and shot him down pretty quickly, and he didn't bother me for a few months after that.
It's kind of gutsy to shoot down the leader of the church, don't you think?
Well, it just didn't seem appropriate. I guess we were working under his wife, who had treated us very well, and it felt at the time the right thing to do.
Good. Glad you had the courage to do that. Now, Smith wanted you to keep this entire incident secret anyway. And in fact, you were warned not even to tell your sister, Eliza, or your mother.
Right.
How did that required secrecy affect you?
It actually troubled me quite a bit. Eliza and I were really, really good friends and always told each other everything. We were a very close family. And I was so afraid to betray the man of God, our spiritual leader, the prophet, Joseph Smith. It was... Just couldn't do it.
Couldn't do it, okay. Well, it seemed like Joseph Smith was a little bit nervous about this, too, because he wanted to be sure that you would be able to keep the secret, so he tested your resolve to keep quiet. Would you tell us about that?
Yeah. He sent Elizabeth Durfee to question me about anything I knew about plural marriage, or if I'd been approached with the topic, or if I knew anything about it in my household, or anything like that. And it was kind of an odd questionnaire, but yeah, I held resolve.
You didn't fail his little secrecy attempt there, huh? You didn't fall into the trap.
No, nope. His secret was completely safe with me.
But at the time, you couldn't know that Elizabeth Durfee was married to Joseph Smith too, right then and there. In fact, she was one of the wives that he had. I think he had two wives that were actually recruiters for him. And they would go around recruiting women to become his plural wives, and Elizabeth Durfee was one of them. Yeah. So you didn't know that she was plural married to him, or that she was a friend to plural marriage.
No idea.
Okay, after a bit of time passed, you finally gave in to your desire to tell your sister Eliza about Joseph Smith's proposal. What did this do to her?
As much of a reprieve as it was to finally tell my sister, it sent her into deep depression and pretty much just flattened her. It was hard to tell her, but
I'm sure, and it must have felt darn good to get it off your shoulders too. So your first introduction then to plural marriage was when you learned that Joseph Smith had approached your sister as a plural wife, and she's younger than you. And so this obviously upset you. Would you like to weigh in on this, what this did to you?
What can you say? You know, we lived in the same house and we shared secrets, and it was devastating. I was depressed for several days, and it was just a great trial in my life, first of all. But she had convinced me that she had received a testament and that she was sure this is what God wanted her to do. So I supported her.
But you weren't a friend of polygamy from the beginning. From the first time you heard of it, you were not for it at all. It's not something that set good with you. It's interesting that it didn't set good with any woman, any of the women that I've read. At first, it did not set good with you. And I think that's because there's something deep down in our heart that tells us that it is definitely wrong. Okay, Emily, what was the reason that you had that abrupt turnabout? At first you were adamantly against it, and then all of a sudden you're for it?
Yeah, well, Joseph had renewed our courtship, and I began to see things in a different light completely as he was teaching me the principle of polygamy. And he referred to it actually as celestial marriage. And basically what he said was that I was already, according to what God had revealed to him, I was already his possession, his property. And what my duty was to just comply. And
so that was his tactic.
That was his
He claimed you as his possession.
Right, in the name of God, in what he thought would, what I guess we just wanted to follow the prophet, and he told us that this was from God.
I wonder how that makes a girl feel when they find out that God has secretly given you as a possession to a married man. A week later, your marriage took place. Would you? It was quite by surprise to you. You didn't expect it to come by so quickly.
Well, it was actually not what I planned my marriage to be. I was asked by Elizabeth Durfee to go to the prophet's house. Well, actually, it was going to be Kimball's house that night, and I asked her what it would be about, and she said, "I think Joseph wants to make you one of his wives." So I was scared a little bit, but I was just, like I said, I wanted to follow the prophet, and so I wore my wash clothes, just put on a cloak, went to the Kimball house, and saw the children there, and no sign of Joseph or Kimball until a little bit later, and then they showed up. They excused the kids to go elsewhere. I suppose they just didn't want to expose the kids to something like this, and they told me to call another day because Violet wasn't in, and so I abruptly turned around and I started heading back home, and I was running as fast as I could possibly go. Kimball tried to stop me with every effort. I heard him calling behind me, and he was chasing me down, and it was terrifying to think that there was a grown man chasing me in the dark, in the cold, and to the point of being on top of me just to stop me. So he escorted me back to the home where the ceremony took place, and it was not what I had pictured. It was quick, and it wasn't conventional in any sort of way.
And very top secret.
Very top secret. In the dark.
In your wash clothes.
And nobody to witness it except for Kimball, and it was just very, very quick, and I don't remember much that Joseph said, but we both went our own ways that night.
That night you went your own way?
Yeah.
And that was probably disappointing. You think, is this a wedding night yet?
I wasn't even sure if the marriage took place, but yeah.
Okay.
It was awkward.
Now, however, the